Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here.
And we say, bring us your tired.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Damn! This is one of those cases where I have to say, you get what you vote for. Oh boy. Listen, man, Donald Trump was correct again. He was correct again. He suggested about 4 years ago for those sanctuary cities who want to receive the illegal immigrants with open arms. He said, listen, we're going to just send them to you guys. And not only has this suggestion been accepted, Governor Abbott of Texas, Ron DeSantis in Miami, and many others as well are saying, you Democratic-run cities or sanctuary cities, and you love the illegals so much, well, we're going to send them your way. We're going to give you a small segment of them. Oh, they've lost their minds. Listen to Trump, because Trump knew what he was talking about.
Really, you call them the illegals. I call them the illegals. They came across the border illegally. We'll bring them to sanctuary city areas and let that particular area take care of it, whether it's a state or whatever it might be. California certainly is always saying, oh, we want more people, and they want more people in their sanctuary cities. Well, we'll give them more people. We can give them a lot. We can give them an unlimited supply. And let's see if they're so happy. They say we have open arms. They're always saying they have open arms. Let's see if they have open arms.
You have been warned.
Mayor Eric Adams, let me get that correct. We should protect our immigrants, period. Yes, New York will remain a sanctuary city under Adams' administration. Okay, we heard you, boy. We heard you. We heard you. Now, the situation doesn't look too good because he's having a meltdown. He's having a meltdown because it's just too much for him to handle. And it's not fair to the people in New York. But again, this is why you got to be realistic. And this is one of those cases when you get what you vote for. I don't agree with it, but can we be real here? What do you think is going to happen to the economy and the country as a whole if you keep doing this? Anyway, let's take a listen to this because this is another good one. Because, by the way, this lady here, her name is Misha Maynor. She was a former Democrat herself, and she had the courage to leave because she realized something. She realized that the policies, the Democratic policies, are destroying minorities and small cities. And she just like, you guys will keep pushing these crazy policies. I'm done. I'm putting people above, listen to this, above politics, and I'm going to advocate for my constituents. I love it, man. This is a woman of courage, and you need to listen to her take. Listen to this.
Joining me now is Georgia State Rep. Misha Maynor, who left the Democrat Party earlier this year, and Daniel E. Friends, a campus reform correspondent. Representative, we've talked before about why you left the Democrat Party, but now seeing how things have gotten even worse just over the past few months, what's your message to those Democrats who are still just complaining about messaging and maybe not getting enough money like Eric Adams, but not really focusing on the policies themselves that are driving this decline and despair?
The answer is to focus on the policies. We cannot continue to put politics over people. At the end of the day, the people are actually screaming, saying, we are not happy with this. You are taking our resources away and putting them in places we don't want them. If they would just listen to the voters, they could have a chance. But it's what I'm doing right now is going out into my community and really just exposing the truth to them, and they're listening.
Well, Daniel, we've seen African Americans in Chicago express their total outrage about how the migrants are soaking up all this money. $30 million a month, and by some estimation. And you in New York City, where you're living, what are you seeing there, and how do you respond to the concerns about crime and filth and all the other problems that the migrant population had brought to the city? And why is Eric Adams not talking about the border and not just money?
Yeah, it's insane. As a son of legal Haitian immigrants, I am outraged I've lived in New York City all my life for 19 years. I've wanted better trains, better schooling, but cleaner streets, better policing. Me and all the residents of New York has gotten none of those things. But the moment illegal immigrants come to our city, they get free hotel rooms and they get health care. It's insane. As a writer for campus reform, I can tell you this is happening in cities across America. Universities are even giving illegal immigrants free tuition. It's a slap in the face to my parents and parents across America who sacrifice a lot for their kids.
Representative, we heard this before, though, before the midterm election, that African Americans and other Americans were very...
You know, this term, I want to take a good job at this. This term, African American, is something we need to get rid of because it doesn't really, it's not a correct definition of Black Americans in this country. I can understand the Black Americans of, Blacks of African descent in this country. But truly, I think just call people Americans, or just call them Black Americans. I just think African American, this terminology, when you trace it, it's one of those things that really we should get rid of it. If people can get their own pronouns in today's culture, I think we can definitely get rid of that because it's not really a good description of people, Blacks in this country. I mean, you don't hear, Italian American, or you don't hear, Irish American. We just know them as American. But when it comes to Black people, we got to put this label. I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't sit well with me. Anyway, let's get back. That's beside the point. They're talking about a number of things that really make a lot of sense here. The policy that's driving this issue is what we need to be addressed in New York City, like Donald Trump says. And again, listen to this video. It's only about 2 minutes long. I want you to listen carefully to the perspective. Eric Adams said this, that we should protect our migrants, period, and New York City is going to remain a sanctuary city under Adams' administration. So here we are. Let's see how this is working out. And now he's going to share his grievances, and there's also a video in here about him again and again saying this statement.
I have to provide services for families that are here, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what our responsibility as a city. I'm proud that this is a right to shelter state. And we're going to continue to do that.
It's a place where the Statue of Liberty sits in the harbor, and we say, bring us your tide. Those who are yearning to be free. That's what these asylum seekers are doing.
Wow. Did you mean that? Did you mean that? Well, not long after, listen to Eric Adams changing his perspective, sounding like a white supremacist, sounding like Donald Trump. Maybe Donald Trump again was correct. Sounding like some white wing talking about the danger of this thing and how much it weighs on the economy in New York. Well, we could have told you that. Wow.
House, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care.
Babysitting.
And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here.
And we say, bring us your tide.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
Come on, man.
Destroy New York City.
Well, you got to change the policy, my man. It's the policy that needs to be changed. Stop playing the political game.
We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Damn! I'm proud that this is a right to shelter state.
One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Mm-hmm. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted.
No, that's what you asked for, right? Let's go, one step at a time. There's too many of them!
MSNBC asked Eric Adam, don't you think that your policies could be the reason why this is happening and that now you have no kind of excuse for what's going on? I want you to hear what he said.
Because critics on the right have noted that New York City is a sanctuary city, and this migrant crisis comes with that territory. What do you say to those who think you relinquish your right to complain about the stresses it places on your city because of that?
Well, I think that those comments coming from those far-right Trump-like Republicans who are continue to try to distort the
far-right Trump-like Republicans. No, these comments are true, buddy.
Comments coming from those far-right Trump-like Republicans who are continue to try to distort the reality that we do not have real immigration reform, that we should allow a true decompression strategy, protect our borders in the right way, and make sure that when you look at this city, the status of right to shelter, of no one who created this decades ago took into account that we were talking about hundreds of thousands of people potentially coming to the city.
How stupid are you?
So that's a right wing Trump white supremacist talking point to tell you the truth about the potential of what could happen to your city if you keep on pushing this rhetoric. It's just amazing to listen to. The ladies on The View had something to say, you know. It's New York, so they gotta speak in favor of New York because the show is in New York, and here it goes.
We've dealt with this before. I lived in Miami. I was an immigrant in Miami in the 80s. You'll remember when we had the Mariel boat lift. Yes. 125,000 Cubans came in a matter of 6 months. It puts tremendous stress on a city, on a community, on the social services. They need to be resettled elsewhere. They need to be out.
Really? It sounds like a bunch of Republican talking like this. Get rid of these illegals. We don't want you. Yeah, you need to go somewhere else. You see, this is called common sense. It's called common sense, people.
Massive country.
Well, and it's only going to get worse with global warming and climate change because people
global warming and climate change, all right.
People can't live in certain parts of this world.
Okay.
Sure, women. Global warming and climate change. No, your policies are bad. You need to change them. Open your arms, sanctuary cities. Open your arms and live up to the standards that you've set up.
Very upset by crime, very upset about the border, and really worried about the economy. But there wasn't that much of a shift in the voting patterns among those minority voters. So they seem outraged in polls, but on the turnout and on the vote changes, you're not seeing that much movement. How do you get them to the polls and to finally break with the Democrat Party?
I think opportunities like this, Laura, at the end of the day, you have me on a national platform, and there are going to be African Americans and there are going to be Democrats that are listening to this message. Everything that you just said prior to bringing us on, I sat here laughing because it really makes no sense what you were saying. Like, how did we even get to this spot where we are allowing foolishness to rule our country? And so I'm going to continue to educate the people in my district, people like Daniel, other leaders and other representatives that are changing their minds. We really need to collectively put our voice together, because if we don't, we're going to lose this country faster than you think.
Yeah, and Republicans have to actually go into these areas and go into these neighborhoods and not be afraid to actually speak to people about their concerns and what the solutions are. That's got to happen. Daniel, new data from the Survey Center on American Life shows that Black Americans, especially younger ones, ages 18 to 49, are souring on Biden, and just 36% now believe he accomplished a good or great deal. 21% want him as the 2024 nominee. And
I would like to know who is this 36%? Like what part of the country do they live? Do they live under a rock or something? Because, like, who in their right mind will think that Biden is still a good president for this country? 36%. I would like to meet them, have a talk, and hear their perspective, because something is wrong.
Less than half, 48% identify as Democrat. Is the dam finally breaking?
I think the dam is finally breaking. Laura, I am sick of tired of the rhetoric that I do not have agency in this country, and plenty of other young Black Americans believe the same. A big example is affirmative action. I do not want to be told that I need some sort of equitable policy to be in a great institution. I want to own my accomplishments and my shortcomings in America.
Thomas Sowell has a really good book where he speaks about the two visions. Let me see if I could find it for you. Yeah, Thomas Sowell's book, The Conflict of Visions. This is like the ideal book that gives you a perspective behind politics and how laws and stuff are and policies are all put together. When you read this, and I'm reading this as I speak to you right now, it gives you a perspective of why the Democratic Party and their policies are problematic. Because he has this thing he calls the unconstrained vision and the constrained vision. It's like the constrained vision somewhat falls in line with the Republicans' perspective. Is based on reality, all right? It's based on responsibility, it's based on truth and common sense. But there is the unconstrained vision. It's virtue signaling, is out of control, it's out of reality, is beyond the norms, right? So when you study the book, one of the things that he argues is that the Republican Party try to address people, not so much systems, because the people are the ones who are either make up the system, and if there's something wrong, they focus primarily on the people because they know these are the things we need to worry about. So they put laws in place, systems in place to assist the people. However, the unconstrained vision of the Democratic Party, when you listen into how he puts it, they focus so much more on the system. This is where you get systematic racism. It's like the perspective is that there's nothing wrong with people. If there's anything wrong with people, is the faults of the system. And this is why you see there's a lot of tearing apart of everything from the Dems. They're always flipping and going after gender, going after churches, going after faith, and going after the schools, because their goal is to fix the system. So if the system is fixed, the people supposedly will be fixed. Something happened in violence, they don't address the mental health of the individual. They say, let's take away the guns. It's really a perspective, and ideas have consequences. It's an ideology, and the ideology itself is what's driving all these policies. Even behind this perspective of sanctuary cities is that they don't see the illegals as someone who can frustrate the system. They see that the system needs to change in order to assist the illegals. Is the other way around. It's not in line with reality. And that's the perspective that's driving the policies behind a lot of what the Dems are doing. This is why it's failing. This is why it's failing. This is not to say some things are not good from the Democrats, right? This is not to say some of the things that they promote is altogether bad. But it's just that it's the vast majority of what they're pushing doesn't fall in line with reality. And this is when they get a taste of their own medicine, they realize, wait a minute, this is not good. This ideological origin of political struggle that he speaks about in the conflict of visions, it shows you that's what lays at the foundation of everything we see going on in the culture. It's a good book to read. I would recommend that. I mean, it's a good reading. It's very deep. It's very detailed. And I'm going through it right now. I'll tell you what, it really opens your eyes and it gives you the perspective behind that. And he does a good philosophical study, and he goes deeper into the mindset of Plato, Socrates. It gives you these perspective of these different philosophers and how they saw politics and how these things are still being played out in our culture. I will highly recommend that. I say that to say this. Listen, I'm in no way saying that these individuals that are the illegal immigrants, they don't have values, they shouldn't be cared for. I just don't know if we should stress the system. Neither should we put them here while we have yet so many of our veterans and homeless individuals who are struggling. I don't know if this is the way we want to go about this. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I do believe in biblical justice, social justice, we call it today, but the definition of social justice today has been twisted. So I'm going to use it biblical justice. Now, the Bible says that we need to wash and make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes, cease to do evil, learn to do well, seek justice, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, and plead for the widow. A lot of what we got going on in these people that are coming in, it's not like they are in desperate need of help, as we are being told. This open border policy is destroying the country. As simple as that. And this is why it's not a good look. It's not fair to the people either. But again, this is kind of where we are. As a result of that, this is the reason why I'm against it. But I'm definitely for people. And I would think there's got to be a better system. Caring for these people from their home, assisting them from their home will be a better idea. But I mean, I don't think it's fair that we brought them here and then they are going through all of this. This is not even fair to them as individuals. So that's where I stand when it comes to that. Anyway, share your thought and perspective with me. I think this is one of those cases where you get what you vote for. The people of New York City, you guys got to vote differently. You got to think differently. You're going to have to rouse and raise your voice against this. It's just one of those things that the policies have to change. The voting bloc has to change. And the Democrats, they need to fall in line with reality, because, and again, how do you do that when it's an ideology? They just have to eventually have a rude awakening, I guess. Anyway, that's where I stand when it comes to that. Link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Share your thought and perspective with me. Have a good one. Bye.